In the first part of our course, we are looking into the elements and mechanisms of ritual, how rituals are put together and how they operate. We just finished examining ritual symbols and symbolic action. This week, we'll delve more deeply into two other elements of the ritual experience, imagery and embodiment. Our readings will take us to Nepal and Haiti. We've seen that ritual is a deeply complex human activity involving bodily movement, the manipulation of symbols, and all of our senses. One important element of ritual, though, is one that cannot be seen, and that is mental imagery. Very often in ritual, participants are guided by way of chants and songs to envision certain things and to imagine themselves as part of that imagery. Guided imagery is a term often given to this process in which ritual participants are intentionally guided so that they envision a certain set of images, often including images of them being healed by spiritual forces. What impact does this guided imagery have on the participants, their experiences, and their interpretations of their experiences? Guided imagery is a very common element in healing ceremonies that are led by traditional healers known as shamans. Guided imagery has also been adopted and elaborated by a new set of healers in the United States and elsewhere who did not grow up with these shamanic practices. In this unit, we will also consider embodiment, which is a term used for bodily movement and experiences felt through the body. Embodiment is a defining element of all rituals and what makes rituals so special among the different elements of social and cultural life. Ritual always involves the orchestrated movement of bodies. Things such as standing, sitting, kneeling, turning around, holding things aloft, marching, lying prostrate, washing, wearing special clothes, bowing, dancing, going into trance. These are common embodied experiences in ritual. Rituals involve all of the senses, which include the 5 senses that we commonly talk about in the U.S.: sight, hearing, smell, taste, and touch, but also other senses, including the sense of balance, vestibular sense, the feeling of one's body in space, proprioception, the feeling of pain, nociception, and the sense of temperature, thermoception. We want to consider how the various bodily movements and sensations in ritual affect the minds, moods, beliefs, and perspectives of the ritual participants. One question we will be asking ourselves in this topic is how much does ritual depend upon imagery as compared with embodiment? Does the participant's experience of the ritual depend more upon what he or she sees and imagines, imagery, or upon what he or she experiences through bodily movement and the other senses? Or is it possible that different rituals work in different ways, some placing more emphasis on imagery and others privileging embodiment? To explore these questions, you will read 2 different articles and compare them. Our first reading for this topic takes us to Nepal. You will read Robert Desjarlais's article on Healing Through Images, the Magical Flight and Healing Geography of Nepali Shamans. Desjarlais's article follows up directly on Driver's notion of the transformative power of ritual. However, Desjarlais explores how the imagery in shamanic healing rituals in Nepal reworks patients' perceptions of themselves and in fact results in the feeling of being healed. As you are reading, reflect on this quotation from page 290, quote, "Healing, as I define it, entails a transformative process in which a person moves from one domain of experience to another, that is, from a personal experience of illness to one of lasting health. Through the manipulation of images symbolic of personal experience, I argue, The shaman simultaneously transforms the patient's experience of selfhood. The following reading takes us to the country of Haiti. You will read Timothy Landry's article on Moving to Learn, Performance and Learning in Haitian Voodoo. Please do not be alarmed about reading about voodoo. Voodoo has been wildly and accurately depicted in Hollywood films. Voodoo is a syncretic or mixed religion that developed among African slaves in the French Caribbean colony of Haiti. It blends elements of African religions with the Catholic Christianity taught to the slaves. Voodoo rituals invite the spirits, known as loas, to enter or possess the dancers with the hope that the spirits will then confer blessings on the person possessed. The loas are often called by names of the Catholic saints, again pointing to the religious blending that has taken place over the centuries. In this article, Landry recounts how he learned how crucial embodied experience is within voodoo, and he learned that in order to best understand the rituals, he had to put down his pad and pencil and start dancing. Although Landry talks about why dancing was important for his research, please try to understand the more fundamental point he is making, which is about how the bodily experience of dancing and spirit possession is key for the voodoo practitioners themselves. In other words, how do the bodily experiences of the dance and the spirit possession transform their understandings of themselves and the world in which they live? As you read these two articles, place them in comparison to one another. Does it seem to be the case that imagery and embodiment are equally important in Nepali shamanic healing and in voodoo, or does it seem that the different ritual symbols place emphasis on one more than the other?